Water is a resource shared by all. Water conservation may seem unnecessary in a state surrounded by water, but not all of that water is readily available for drinking or irrigation. Hi, I'm Mary Ann Krasovich. Did you know that more than 90% of water used in Florida is groundwater that comes from underground aquifers? And of Lake County's average 49 inches of rainfall each year, less than 12 inches actually seeps into the ground to replenish those aquifers. However, more than 50% of residential water use in Florida occurs outdoors each month. Using water wisely outside the home promotes healthier lawns and landscapes and conserves our precious water resource. Let's talk about steps you can take outside your home to conserve water. When it comes to your lawn, here are some things to keep in mind. First, make sure you're in compliance with current watering restrictions. During daylight savings time, you can water up to 2 days a week. If your address is an odd number, you can water on Wednesdays and Saturdays. If your address is an even number, you can water on Thursdays and Sundays. When Eastern Standard Time kicks in November, you can water 1 day per week, and that is your weekend day, either Saturday or Sunday. Your grass will tell you when it wants water. Take a look at the grass blades. If they're folded in half, now it's time to water. If you're walking through your yard and you see your footprints left behind you, then it's time to water. If you look across your lawn and you see a blue haze, then it's time to water. How do you know how much water to give your lawn? 3/4 of an inch, that's what they like. How do you know when you've got 3/4 of an inch? You'll want to get a tuna fish or a cat food can, set several out in your yard, turn your irrigation system on, time how long it takes to put 3/4 of an inch into that can, and set each irrigation zone accordingly. The time of day best for watering your lawn? Watering early in the morning helps the plants to dry off more quickly, preventing fungus. Here's another tip for saving water outdoors. Set your mower blades to the highest setting possible, at least 4 inches. Allowing your grass to grow at least 3 inches high helps to protect the roots and conserve water. When it comes to fertilizer, you can water in your fertilizer application according to the directions. However, you must follow Lake County's fertilizer ordinance, which states between June 1st and September 30th, you cannot use a fertilizer containing nitrogen or phosphorus, and it must be a minimum of 50% slow release. Also, you must maintain a 15-foot maintenance-free buffer zone if you are on a lake shoreline. And consider adding 15 feet on top of that as a low maintenance zone. When choosing plants for your landscape, be sure to do a little bit of research before you go to the plant nursery. You want to buy drought-tolerant plants, but you also want to get plants that will fit your yard. If you have a sunny yard, buy plants that do well in the sun. If you have a shady yard, make sure you buy plants that do well in the shade. You also want to be sure to select Florida-friendly plants. Right plant, right place. Mulch is a very important part of any water-wise landscape. Mulch, as it decomposes, adds nutrients back into the soil. It helps to maintain the soil temperature and soil moisture and keeps weeds down so the weeds don't compete with your plants. The best types of mulch to use: pine bark mulch, which is a renewable resource, or Melaleuca mulch, which is an invasive species down south and makes a great mulch for your yard. Many people like to use rock. However, rock doesn't provide you with as many of the benefits we just mentioned. The best time to use rock? To make a path through your yard or 18 inches from the base of your house to help keep termites at bay. Irrigation can be the single largest user of water outside of our homes. It's important to understand how your irrigation system works. This is a rotor which is designed for large grass areas. This is a spray pop-up head that works well for flower beds and smaller areas. Ideally, we could also make use of micro irrigation. These spray heads put water directly where the plant needs it, and minimizes the amount of water loss to evaporation or wind. Now let's take a closer look at your irrigation timer. Let's pass it over to Rachel.
Thanks, Marianne. Knowing the basic functions of your irrigation controller is essential to water conservation. Today we're going to go over all of the basic functions of this controller. Starting with date and time, the date and time function will allow you to set the current date and time. Moving on to start times. Start time will allow you to program what time you want your system to run on the scheduled days. Run times will allow you to select how many minutes per zone you want your system to run. Run days allows you to choose which days throughout each week you want your system to run. The sensor option is referring to your rain sensor, and you can see here that this is listed as active, as all of our rain sensors should be active. Seasonal adjustment allows you to decide what percentage of each run time you want your system to operate. Manual station allows you to manually run each zone, which is essential for making sure there are no broken heads. The off function does simply as it's listed. It turns the system off. The most important thing while adjusting your settings is to always go back to auto run, so you know that your system will automatically run throughout each setting that you've programmed. Now that you know the basic functions to an irrigation controller, let's go in the home and talk a little bit about basic indoor water conservation tips. We're going to start in the bathroom, since that's where the majority of water inside of a home is used. If you hear your toilet running when not in use, purchase some leak detecting tablets. This is a simple dyed tablet that can be placed in the tank of the toilet, and after waiting about 10 to 15 minutes, if any dye comes out into the bowl of the toilet, that will indicate that you need to replace the flapper on that toilet. Install a water-efficient faucet whenever possible. Water-efficient faucets use 2.2 gallons of water per minute or less. You can also install an aerator to conserve more water. When it comes to showering, showering is one of the leading ways that we use water inside of the home. As relaxing as shower heads like this may be, they are very wasteful. We recommend installing a low-flow head whenever possible. These are shower heads that use 2.5 gallons per minute or less. Just like with your plumbing fixtures, you're going to want to upgrade older appliances whenever possible. Dishwashers use the same amount of water regardless of how many dishes you place inside of them. So we recommend making sure you have a full load before starting that cycle. So by now I'm sure you realize that all older plumbing fixtures and appliances use more water than newer water-efficient appliances. So whenever possible, upgrade those older washing machines to new water-efficient washing machines. And much like dishwashers, never start a cycle unless you have a full load. You know, Marianne, if water is life,
Then water conservation must be our way of life.